high school. Well, nowadays, most majors have you guys taking a stats class no matter what. Whether it's a business stats class or a pure math stats class, just about every major you have to have some sort of statistical background. What I'm looking at doing is hitting all the probability stuff and then breaking into the statistical stuff as well, where we're going to do some normal curve things and stuff like that. And it's actually a lot of fun. All right, I think this is one of the more practical units that we do because it's tangible. You could actually, play blackjack with it and lottery and.
It can be used in real life.
Yes, so there's a little bit more, and I think it's kind of fun. Fun and kind of get it. Anyway, but what I'm looking at doing here is getting through probably 12, 1, 2, and parts of 3 the rest of this week. Next week we'll go 3 and 4. We have that half day next week, so we'll probably quiz next Friday over the first half of the chapter, because then it makes that switch between a lot of the probability stuff. Then we get into more of the independent, dependent events, and we can get into what's the probability of flipping a coin and rolling a die and certain things occur and all that. So it can get kind of crazy with the things that we can do. But that's 12.5, 12.6. What 12.6 was, but then 12.6, 12.7 I think is the standard deviation stuff with normal curve, which is actually really cool because you can do a lot of really neat things with it. And that gets us to almost the last full week of school, which we would test the full chapter like the last full week of school, and then it gives us a good probably 3 days of review for the semester. I think that's plenty, honestly. I know as we get further up there, I'll create a new packet and all that kind of junk, and I'll get it to you in a couple weeks, whenever I have it ready to roll, but we got time. I could probably get this unit done a little bit quicker. We can do matrices if you want. Dumb says no. Dumb says no. Well, it can be, unless I don't let you use a calculator.
No.
See, I was all happy that you said maybe. So anyway, let's talk about counting principles and permutations. Now, what we're looking at here is how can we come up with different ways of putting sandwiches together.
Okay.
So if we have 4 different meats to choose from and 3 different types of bread. We have ham, turkey, roast beef, and salami, and we have 3 types of bread, white, wheat, and rye.
Is the roast beef rare?
That's the only kind.
Okay.
Overcooked roast beef. What is this, Russia?
Okay.
Oh, don't make fun of the Ruski. It's okay. So what we're looking at here is how many different sandwiches could you come up with? 12. Why? That's all it is. A lot of times when you're looking at specific choices as you're going through, if you're trying to just come up with the number of choices you could have, well, you have 4 meats, 3 breads. Well, how many cheeses do you have? Well, let's say you have
Provolone.
Gouda,
Mozzarella.
Provolone, Gouda. Hey, is it nacho Gouda? Get it? Nacho Gouda? Not so good. Nacho Gouda.
That's not
Not
That's not
cheesy.
I didn't say that. So we just have 2. Now how many sandwiches can you make? 4. All you're doing is you're taking your possibles. One of the ways you could figure these things out is you could have made a diagram, but isn't that a waste of time?
Yes.
Yes. Think about Subway.
So
When you have Subway, how many different meats do they have?
A lot.
A lot. Google it. Somebody Google it.
I got
meats.
I'm already there.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I am.
You're not on the Subway website.
Yes, I am.
Ham?
Do you count meatballs?
Sure.
Well, I know they have ham.
And then they have all these different breads. And then you have the toppings.
So when we're talking about this, are we talking about specifically one type of meat, one type of?
Yes, we're just going one. We're not getting, we'll get to that.
You can have one,
Yes.
one rye.
Yeah, you could get to that. You can get into a lot of the craziness here, but for all intents and purposes, we do this.
Ham, salami, and pepperoni.
Field
They
trip,
have-
we're going to Subway.
What's that?
Field trip, we're going to
Field trip, yeah. So let's, if you,
We got chicken.
I can, honestly, I can't remember the last time I went to a Subway. The smell inside of a Subway just drives me nuts.
What? It's amazing.
You get the
Turkey
Subway
breast,
funk
ham.
then, the funk smell. You just,
Look at like the funk of all of
Smells
the
like
meat
lead
and
and-
cheeses mixed together. It's
what does this really smell?
meatball marinara,
That's
oven
what I-
roasted chicken.
Wait.
I got
So-
like 13.
All right, so there's 13 meat. How many types of bread do they have now? They used to only have
So
2.
they've got white, wheat, 9 grain. They've got cheese bread.
I'm not
So let's just say 6.
Yeah.
All right.
It's about 6.
And then you have all the different toppings. Now you're right. What Cam was talking about, we're looking at, obviously most people pick more than one. Let's just say for our generic purposes, we're picking just one. Because obviously you could take all of them and choose all of them. Or you can take all of them and then choose only 6 of the 20. There's different ways to figure out these different combinations. And we'll get to all that, but let's just say there's what? There's gotta be,
24. Let's go.
I was just about to say, it's gotta be about 24 of them, because I'm trying to visualize the trays. When they have the trays, it's
They got a
thirds
lot.
usually.
Well, that, do you count like
Well, do you
cheese
count like?
and all that?
You
a
could,
lot.
because then you have your spices.
Yeah, then you got
There's
like
4.
Jardinera.
And then you gotta choose whether they're baked or unbaked.
Oh, then you have 2.
Yeah.
So toasty or not, I mean, so you start to think about it. When you start to think about it, you have so many different ways of going about making a sandwich.
But different combinations are.
My mom
I
still
mean,
won't.
no one gets just a bread sandwich.
True, but here's what I'm looking at. I'm just saying for just generic purposes, I'm just counting the possibles of just picking one of each style. You have 13 meats, 6 of those, 24 of those, 12 and 2. So as you multiply this out, that's why when you start to hear all these different possibilities that are out there, they get so grand because they have so many. The same thing when you start thinking about building a car. If you've ever gone on websites and
It's fun.
build your own car, you get to choose all your different options and stuff like that. There are so many ways that you can configure a vehicle. For instance, you just take our truck. When we built our truck, we built all the options and stuff online. You got to choose this. You want this, and the possibilities are endless when you start getting into these things. And then he's throwing the colors.
Interior,
You want this, you want that.
suicide doors.
Yeah, I mean, you just start getting,
You can get those.
you seriously go into this. Now, that's the other thing that'll happen. For those of you guys that get going, when you go to buy a car at some point in time, you guys all understand what I mean by if you go to like a Chevrolet website, you can build your car.
Yeah.
Dealers want you to buy what they have on the lot. They don't want you to order something. The reason is, guys, this is really top tip stuff here. The reason is because the dealers have already paid for those cars that are on their lots, and they're paying to have them there.
Yeah.
If you order something, you're not taking money off their lot. It's not costing them anything because you're paying the money to have that car built. They want to sell you something that's already on the lot. So a lot of times if you build a car, then if it's not what you want that they have, different gear ratios, whatnot, they look to sister stores and they do trades. And they'll trade it and bring your different cars and stuff in. That's what we did. The vehicle that we wanted, the dealership here in town did not have. There was only, for the configuration that I wanted, there were only 2 vehicles in the country that matched my wants, unless they built it. Yeah, apparently. One was white and it was in California. The other one was the gray thing that I have now that was up in Wisconsin. I wound up the gray one because they weren't going to go to California to pick it up. So they just wound up trading in between thing, and I got it. That's how I got my truck that way, or that's how we got our truck. So
What's so special about it?
I wanted a well. I wanted the max towing package with the shorter bed, not the 6'8". I wanted the 5'8" bed with the 373 rear end tow pack.
I don't know what any of that means.
Basically, it means I wanted the capacity of a 3/4 ton truck in a 1/2 ton frame.
Like,
So you
sounds
want
any
to
better.
get hot though.
So,
Why did you just,
yeah.
That second time.
So here's what we go. We don't do this. I even had a really cool pictures. I was gonna do roast beef on, or white on roast beef. Sorry, roast beef on wheat. Turkey on rye, because it's a turkey. It's a turkey.
Oh, I didn't even see it.
And the glare is pretty bad this time of day.
I thought you took something.
Whatever. So basically what we got to is, don't write any of this down, is we're just counting events, number of ways that things can occur. All you're doing is taking the number of ways a certain event can happen, times the number of ways the next event can happen, times the number of ways the other event can happen. This goes along the lines of choosing outfits. If you think about how many different pairs of pants you have, how many different shirts you have, how many different ties, things like that.
Do I want to wear
I
shorts?
got one
Do
Do
I
you
want
want, exactly. So you start looking at,
decision.
you start looking at all the different combinations, all the different possibilities. Go through your, now seriously, go through your closets in the next day or
I do
two
not want to do
and pick out. And this is, just make this, just excluding t-shirts.
Okay.
All right, excluding, because I know I got t-shirt. I got so many stinking t-shirts.
Why don't you
Go with, just go with pants. Just pants. We'll exclude shorts. All right.
What about like there's like leggings?
All right. How about this?
Anything that covers
Bottoms.
excluding or including shorts.
Wait,
It's bottoms.
Is it on the bottom?
I guess.
Do socks fit in that?
Is that, that's a shirt.
Overalls.
Is that a top or a bottom?
You're making this way.
Okay.
All right. Let's.
That you have to put
All right. We're gonna try to do this democratically. Gentlemen, do you have? All right. This is a good idea. Do you have overalls?
No. No.
Yes, I have a pair of overalls.
Okay.
Do you wear them?
Not often.
Then doesn't count.
All right. So, ladies, I'm assuming most of you guys have one or two dresses. Okay. So, can we exclude dresses so we can compare apples to apples a little bit here? With, like, but you can count your skirts. Gentlemen, count your kilts.
I own 4 of them, so it's cool.
So, if you happen to have skirts, or if you happen to have leggings, because they make the guys leggings, right?
I've got like,
Yeah, they do.
Leggings.
I have leggings.
Or
My jeans are shredded.
jorts,
I'm not kidding.
jorts, whatever they're called. Anyway, so count your count the number of bottoms, tops. Those could be. Let's go with like polos and shirts,
Wait, regular like shirts like this?
non-t-shirt.
Oh.
We'll go tops, non-t-shirts. Okay.
Long sleeve.
I don't own
Yes.
any long sleeve.
Any tops. Let's say non-t-shirt. Okay, because t-shirts just start to
By
get.
t-shirt, do you mean
It would be
like
up in the
like
But
short
like what Jim
Yeah,
said,
so like just regular t-shirts.
like what Jim
What
was
about,
kind of a t-shirt, or would that be like a fancy?
That's a top then. But
What?
What about like this?
Okay.
all right, you know what? This isn't gonna work because you got too many options.
Over.
Okay, let's just.
Sorry, man.
we need
I've got
overs.
vast variety there, but.
I
do
guess
sock
you can-
colors.
Why don't, yeah, why don't you
Let's
use
just
just
do-
t-shirts?
let's
and
just
just
do
shoes?
pants and like socks or shoes.
Yeah, socks and shoes.
What about like t-shirts and something?
I own like
Yeah,
70
socks.
pairs.
All right. Melms, I like it. I like it. Full length pants.
Okay.
And t-shirts?
Strictly t-shirts.
Yes.
Okay. Like short sleeve, long sleeve.
Dude, it's a t-shirt.
Are we going to make the definition of a t-shirt being short sleeve?
Yes. Short sleeves only.
That's all I have.
Okay.
In Spanish, it's a different word. So.
Well,
Shut up.
Well, this is.
That's different language.
Are we okay with that? Now, if you want it, yes, ma'am.
Can you just figure out what extra good forever?
No.
Wait, like,
Yes.
does this have to be stuff we wear regularly, or does it, like, anything?
if you own it, it counts.
Regularly.
Just count whatever you have. If you start thinking that you have too much stuff, make a Salvation Army donation pile.
I did that like 2 weeks ago and I still have one stuff.
Two also. Anyway, it's just kind of funny when you start to look at it, then you start to think about how many days are in a year, how many things you really have. Alright. Here's another thing you can do with this. You guys have all seen sketch artists from the police department, right? You've got the bad guy, you've got an ovalish head, blue eyes, pointy nose, and a crooked smile.
No hair?
And he's got fuzzy hair.
Gold.
Go ahead, go.
Couldn't have done it better myself.
So this is the idea here as you start to think about when you're looking at sketch artists. Nowadays they don't just sit there and draw it freehand. They're looking at computer programs. They're looking at all these different photographs of pictures of eyes. They're piecemealing it together. What was the game where you flip the books together and give different faces? Guess who? Yeah. So if you sit here and you start going through it, if you have 195 different hairlines, that's quite a bit. I mean, then you multiply it by the number of different types of eyes, not only color but shape. You start thinking about the different eye patterns, and then you multiply that by the number of eyebrows. Oh, eyes and eyebrows are put together. Noses, mouths,
10.
and 74 chins and cheeks. That's like jawline. Okay. Multiply all that together, what do you get?
Big numbers.
No
A
freckles?
really, really big number.
Si, senor.
No freckles?
No freckles. What about ears? They don't have ears on there.
Half years?
Half ears. Ears and half.
Big or hanging clothes?
Sorry, Tony.
So what did you get for the number?
One of the million, baby.
1.33 times 10 trillion, 349,986,000.
That's a small number.
So it's not trillion, I think isn't that 13 billion? Yes, ma'am. It's just saying it's times 10 to the whatever power. So you just move your decimal. That just means it's a really, really big number. Okay? Now, what happens if you knew their eyes and their nose? What happens if they were running around and they had a mask and this is all you saw?
Well then,
Rip.
you could just get rid of it.
So instead of if you know exactly what they had, or they were caught on camera because they were wearing a ski mask and you saw their eyes and their nose, what do you do with the choices then for eyes and nose? What does it
You
become?
get rid of it.
It becomes 1. So we had eyes and nose, so it still becomes 195 times 1 times 1 times 105 times 74.
Turn it down.
So now, how much is that?
Not so big.
Exactly.
Not as big as
What do you get? Just 150?
Okay.
So that's why they say, be aware, and this is kind of another top tip here. Yes, sir?
If the number is more than the population of the world.
That's just different possibles, I know. And that's the crazy thing. When you start looking at it, you have the combinations of giving the rough sketch of anybody. And that's the point. When you start looking at criminality, or when you look at when police try to ask you who did it, or you're playing Clue or something like that, if you are able to identify anything on a person, and that, I mean, you know how they say always be aware of your surroundings. You know, God forbid any of you guys get mugged. I didn't mean to bring it down a bit here, but you know, it's the idea here. You should try to. If I come up and steal this, do you remember what I look like?
Guy in a blue shirt and blue tie.
Matching clothes.
Kind of.
Yeah, matching clothes-ish, right? So,
What? I said ish.
and that's the thing. It's like, can you remember any identifying marks? Because going from 13 billion to a million, it's a lot. Well, it's better. See what I'm saying? It's kind of crazy when you start thinking about it.
And any other general area.
Oh, license.
You were gonna ask something, what were you gonna say? Oh, you were saying about the people.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing it goes into is the idea of possibles for working with license plates. One of the things a lot of you guys will start to do here as you get older is that when you get a car, you actually have to buy your license plates. And then you have to renew them. The state of Illinois will not remind you anymore that you have to renew them because they don't want to pay postage.
It's a jerk when you buy it.
And everybody's getting fined for it because nobody remembers to change their license plate tag.
Don't
Not me. I was okay.
Don't they end up like sending you a letter to find you?
I'm not sure. I think so. It sounds right. I know. But then they're getting money in return for it, like an extra fine.
They're bogus.
So here's what happens. In the state of, I think this example is from New York. New York has their license plates. You guys all know that there's many different license plates.
Yes.
H&M.
And each state does that because it generates money. That's one of the main reasons where states make money. You get those different personal plates. Cubs plates, Blackhawks, White Sox, Bears, NIU, U of I, Army, military. There are police, fire, education, golf. There's all these different license plates you can get. There's an additional fee for each plate, so anytime you see one of those fancier plates, that person paid an extra $30 to get it on top of the license plate fee. When they're doing plates, for this example in New York, they have three numbers, then three letters. Now you start thinking about how many different ones can you come up with? Well, if you have digits, how many digits are there? 10.
1, 9.
Well,
0 to 9.
0 through 9 for digits. You have 10. So there are 10 possible in the first. How many are there for the next one?
26.
There's 10 here, there's 10 here, and 10 here. We okay with that?
Yeah.
Now, what I'm talking about here is by doing 10 each time, am I allowing for numbers to be able to be repeated?
Yes.
Yeah. It's the first Tuesday. How many letters are there? So there'll be 26, 26, and 26. So that tells you for just that one style of license plates, if you allow numbers and letters to be repeated, you get 175? 17,576,000 possible mixes of letters and numbers.
Not including custom.
Isn't that what I'm looking at here? It's just numbers, letters being repeated. What happens if you can't repeat numbers and letters? What changes?
Take off.
you get 10,
So it'll go 10.
It'll be 10, then how many?
9,
9,
8,
26, 25,
25,
24.
24.
now how many do you have?
Still a lot.
Yeah.
So,
What was it? So as you see, as things start to repeat or not repeat, you can, the distinguishable ways of coming up with them changes. All right. Now you're talking about customs and stuff. When you get into specific style plates, there are, in Illinois, you have vanity plates and personal plates. Those are the upgrades from the standards. On a passenger car, cars are, I don't know if you've ever noticed this, cars always go letters and then they can finish in numbers, whereas trucks start with numbers and they finish with letters.
And they have like certain different ones for trucks.
Yeah, they have a different
Like,
plate.
Truck ones have like a regular truck with like
Yeah.
something.
Yep. And that's the differences in those. Now, some SUVs, bigger size SUVs, you know, like usually it's around Tahoe Suburbans because it's truck chassis. That's when they can still call it a truck, or they can call it a car. There's no price differential in a lot of those things, but you do have the possibility of doing that. It depends on how you registered it and things like that. Now, when you look at, I think it's personal plates. You can have 5 letters and 2 numbers. And then vanity plates, you can have all letters if you want. And you can have them repeat, non-repeat, and things like that. What's really cool is that the state of Illinois has a cool website, Secretary of State. You can put in your license plate to see if you can get away with trying to spell a dirty word, and it's not really dirty.
My uncle's got bad.
No. They would not let me type in poop.
What if you did 2 zeros?
That's a good question. You will see cars that have the low single-digit license plates, because what they do is they actually, this is not a Murphyism here. I'm not making this one up. They will actually hold auctions for people to get single-digit plates, and you'll see that with people that are like politicians. Go figure. A lot of stuff like that, where like the state senators in Illinois, House of Representatives in Illinois. Wealthy people tend to get a little preferential treatment because they write checks to people like that. So they get the cool license plate that says 2.
That's it, just
Actually,
2.
that's cool.
Yeah. You get that a lot. I mean, you'll see single letter, single number license plates, and they're tough to get because they hold those back for like the highest bidder type thing.
I want one.
And they'll tell you if it's available.
Might get 0.
So.
Might get crazy ones.
Same basic idea for non-repeating allows you to figure out lottery numbers for the different possibles of lottery numbers. I did that website with you guys before we were doing the lottery stuff. I'll start doing that again here soon. We'll talk more about this when we start looking at the actual trapezoid area. Interesting. So when we have we get into the actual, bless you, we start looking at more of the possible ways of doing that. I'm kind of running out of time. I don't think I'm going to get to the. We did this already. Yeah, I'm going to stop here because we'll start with this one tomorrow. I know where we're at. Let me look at the work. See how far we'll get. Try those. We'll finish out because then we'll get into the permutation stuff tomorrow, where where you're looking at stuff where order is going to matter in when you're selecting things. You have 10 selection, or think about a race. Does order matter for who wins, places second and places third?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. Usually. So if you have all of us, how many people we got in here? 5, 6, 8.
I'll win.
The 28?
Just throwing it out.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 20. Yeah, it's 29, I think. But 30, count me. So let's say all 30 of us are going to go run a race and see who's going to win.
I will not win.
There you go. So if we all want to go do the 50-yard dash, just run 50. We do 50 yards, right?
Money's on me.
You should do mine.
I can take it. 50 yards, I can beat you in 50 yards.
Oh, I run the Murphy.
You really think I can beat you in 50 yards?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Are you kidding me?
Murphy, I'll smoke you in 50
You're kind of old.
You're saying
I
you
run- I
would beat
run
me in a
half
50-yard dash?
Oh, yeah.
No.
50 yards? You think I can do 50 yards?
Can we please go outside?
What's your
right
40 time?
Yes.
You honestly, I don't
Let's flex
know.
out. Let's flex out and then do it.
Yes, seriously.
I'll do this.
Yeah, it's
Can we
your
do this?
He doesn't have his ring.
Mr. Murphy, what size shoe do you wear?
I feel like this might be like really bad. I don't know. He just yeah, that'd be hilarious. Like he just comes out of nowhere and ruins me.
I would.
He's like, alright, class, we're going on a field trip today. To the football field.
Probably could do it in the hallway.
Block off the first. Kobe.
Oh, yeah.
Inside the field house, the straightaway.
It's just like taking one or something.
Oh, it is?
I actually do.
I'd hate to make them feel bad wearing, dress shoes and a tie.
Come on, try it.
Let's do it, please.
You'll be legendary
I
if you
can't
do
believe
it.
this chicken.
You get rid of the straight line.
Nah, dude, I'm mad at trash. This is why I'm better on football field. I can swerve.
I'll race you guys in a 200.